MSW Media.
So yeah, now it's clean up on aisle 45 time. And for a long while yet, it is going to be clean up on aisle 45.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 236 of Clean Up on Aisle 45. It's Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. It's almost August. Oh, my gosh. I'm Allison Gill.
Almost August. Yes, you're right. Hey, AG, it's Harry Dunn here. We got so much to talk about this week. I mean, it's a lot of stuff to talk about, including a judge bucking the DOJ recommendation of a one-day sentence for the cop that fired 10 times into the apartment where Briana Taylor was sleeping. We all remember that. Plus, a pardoned insurrectionist gets hit with a retroactive license suspension.
Oh, law license,
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
Not like driver's license.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a driver's license is important, of course, but
yeah. But we got Uber and stuff like that. But law license, a little different. So.
Yeah, well, pretty soon you're going to need your license and your birth certificate and your firstborn to vote. So
I know.
Anyway, this guy lost his law license. That's good news. And Trump wants Rupert Murdoch to be deposed like now in his lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal. In the next, I think when he wrote the letter a couple days ago, he said in the next 15 days because he's old. He's like 94, right? And so and he knows everything already. So this is super backwards. Because normally you don't get to depositions until after discovery because you got to get all the discovery to know what questions to ask. But I guess Trump wants that sooner
wants
rather
him out
than
now.
Mm-hmm. We also have some new Eric Adams crimes, which is interesting. And Candace Owens is hit with a lawsuit filed by Emmanuel Macron and his wife. But before we get to all that, Harry, you were on the road again.
Yeah. So. With our Patriot happy hour, I jumped in for like a few minutes. I was like, gotta go again. So as we were looking at the scheduling, I was looking at my, when stuff is added to your calendar and you accept it, it's accepted based on what time zone you are in. Mm-hmm. So like even today when we were recording this show, like it said a different time because I accepted it in a different time zone. It's so crazy. But anyway, I was on my way to Omaha and Council Bluffs, Iowa. And it was a great time out there. There's a lot of motivated, fired up people. In fact, the Republican mayor actually came to hear me speak in the town of Council Bluffs. He was there. And it was just a very good time, a big fired up crowd, just engaged individuals. And it was very, very what's the word I want to say? Inspirational for a lot of people is the word that they used. In fact, I got a very nice message that I'm going to share on my Substack a little later this week. But just about how I inspired people to not go away. And one of the key things I said at at the speech was, listen, I've kind of like been through hell, like we all have, but I've been, personally targeted by the president and it's so much to the fact where I needed a part. Well, I didn't need one, but the president, Joe Biden, felt that I did, gave me a pardon, a preemptive pardon to protect me. And just so much stuff going on. But I said that if I haven't quit yet, and out of all the shit that I've been going through, I'm asking you all not to quit either and just to keep fighting. And that's the message I try to give to people. Look, once y'all see me throw in the towel, then I guess y'all can too. But spoiler alert, I'm never throwing in the damn towel. So that means y'all can't either.
Yeah. And I had a good weekend too. I hosted an empty chair town hall for Darrell Issa in California's 48th congressional district. And because Darrell Issa doesn't show up to answer his constituents' questions, Representative Sarah Jacobs came in from the 51st.
That is awesome.
District to field questions from concerned constituents in Darrell Issa's district. And it was a packed house. Every chair was taken. And I think the same kind of thing, right? Where everybody was really motivated and fired up. And the questions that they were asking were like, what can we do to lawfully and safely intervene in ICE raids?
Yeah.
Or how can we participate in democracy? What does Congress need from us? And it seemed like the conversation has shifted from what are you doing for us to what can we do for us. And I thought that was inspiring to me.
That's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Right. We're the government.
Truer words have never been spoken, right?
Right. And, Sarah Jacobs is always amazing. She's like, look, I'm here for you, but I need you. Right. And so it was a really, really good, productive conversation. I think everybody.
I love Sarah Jacobs too. She's fantastic.
Yeah, she was wonderful. And so that was good. That was motivating. And I really recommend if you're able to attend these local meetings, join an indivisible branch, join Trouble Nation with Red, Wine, and Blue, join 5051, join your local Democratic club, and get out to these events because I think that they're very motivating, very inspiring, and there's a lot of really, really good ideas out there.
Yeah.
And what was good to know, what I learned is, from Sarah Jacobs, an insider in Congress, is that the Democrats are now working everywhere in every blue state where we have a blue governor, or every red state where we have a blue governor, because we have a couple of those too, to redraw district lines if Texas goes through with their redistricting, their mid-decade redistricting. So they're all on board. Democratic leadership is on board, and every single member of Congress that Democratic member of Congress is on board with this plan to fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
So that was really inspiring to hear. Everybody was really fired up about that. Because we're not on a level playing field anymore. If they're not following the rules, we can't, if they want to do this, we're going to do it back. So
yeah, we have to find a way to make it work for us. Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, if you have an opportunity to go to any of these, do yourself the favor. All right. So you mentioned the happy hour where you jumped in and jumped out at the airport. I just want to thank all the patrons who joined us for that happy hour. Really thoughtful questions as always. And it was a great conversation. We had Andy McCabe, and then we had the developer of the Ice Block app, Joshua Aaron. We had Department of Justice employee that I interviewed on the Daily Beans. Her name is Carolyn Feinstein. She was surreptitiously removed from her position without notice. Mm-hmm. And we talked about the drain on our resources in the Department of Justice that's no longer doing justice. So thanks to everyone who showed up to that happy hour. It was really, really productive and awesome. So if you want to become a patron, you can at patreon.com/aisle45pod. That's AISLE45POD. And a shout out to our Hall of Fame patrons, including InfoSec Technomancer, We Will Survive, Kate, Suzanne Ashworth, Alma Rennan, Joey Merck, Dirt Road Dems, Kimberly D. Stephen, Je suis fatigué, and please don't read this on the pod. We don't need a call out. Thanks for what you do, which we read.
No choice. You know what's better than that.
So thanks, everybody. All right, we got a lot to get to today. We might as well jump in. First up, by the way, congratulations, everybody. George Santos has reported to prison to serve his 7-year sentence.
7 years is a long time, but good for him, though.
One little silver lining in all the news. You'll recall he was convicted of stealing money from public coffers by lying about how many donations he received so that he could meet the threshold required to get National Party money for his campaign. In fact, he actually stole money from family members and friends using their credit cards and then told the FEC he personally made the donations himself. And the FEC and a couple of investigative bodies were like, really? Because you don't have a lot of money. And they looked into it, and then they hit him with a massive indictment, multi-count indictment. Andy Ogles did the same thing, but the Trump administration stopped that FBI investigation so that they could maintain their tiny majority in the House.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely remember that happened to Andy Ogles, and George Santos is somewhere punching the air like, this isn't fair. What about him? So,
yeah, well,
but also this week we learned that Eric Adams, the disgraced Eric Adams, has done the exact same thing, but this time he's done it again. From the city, just weeks after the Trump administration put off the dismissal of corrupt fundraising charges against Eric Adams, it appears that his re-election campaign was at it again. An investigation by the city has found the Adams campaign in May once more accepted funds from individuals who appeared to be straw donors and submitted them to the city's 8-to-1 public matching dollars program.
Oh, my goodness. So he was arrested. He was convicted. He wasn't convicted. He didn't go to trial, but he was arrested. He was indicted.
Trump said we're not going to do this with him. We want him.
Dropped all the charges. So he did it again. I mean, why wouldn't you if they're not going to federally charge you? So 2 individuals listed by the campaign as making donations eligible for matching funds told the city that they are unemployed and did not give to Adams or any other candidate. Another contribution for which Adams sought a match was paid for by a credit card linked to the donor's employer. 3 donors listed addresses where they do not appear to live. And the city is keeping the names of alleged donors anonymous out of concerns of retribution. So these suspected contributions came as part of 2 waves of donations to the 2025 Adams campaign made in May, shortly after Adams celebrated a federal judge's April 2nd order dismissing his corruption and bribery case.
Yeah, so the city is a news publication, or in New York, not to be confused with like the city of New York.
Right.
Yeah, but 10 donations arrived on May the 3rd, while 7 more showed up 9 days later. The 17 contributions netted Adams $35,700 and generated 16 matching funds claims that would, if deemed eligible by the city campaign finance board, add another $32,000 to his coffers. So he's, these aren't just $5, $10 here, $100 there. But if Adams' overall public matching funds request is approved, the campaign estimated it would obtain more than $3 million in taxpayer-funded subsidies. All of the donations were for the maximum amount allowed, $2,100, and were paid by credit card. Many of the donors contacted by the city do not speak English, but their donations were made through the city's online donation system, which is posted in English only.
Now, 10 of these donations are connected to one company, All Star Home Care Agency in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, including several made by All Star employees and their relatives. In fact, most of the contributors were from people of modest means. 2 reported on contribution forms that they were unemployed. There were 7 home health aides who typically earn $20 an hour, a front desk clerk, a secretary, a preschool teacher, a hairstylist, and a laundromat worker. 16 of the 17 donors had not donated to any New York City politician in the last 2 decades. The mother-in-law of one of the donors expressed surprise at the notion that her son-in-law, who is an all-star personal care aide, could have given thousands of dollars to Adams's campaign. I find it impossible, she said. If you had said something like $210, I would have said, okay, maybe, but $2,100? He really has very little money. I don't think he even makes $2,100 a month.
Sounds super sketch there. Adams has insisted neither he nor his campaign have ever knowingly accepted an illegal donation. But again and again, he's been shadowed by accusations of using straw donations to net the coveted 8-to-1 public match, $8 to $1. Straw donations are an illegal way for donors seeking clout to get around campaign contribution limits by funding multiple donations that mask the true source. It appears that's what's going on here.
Yeah. So what did All Star have to gain by giving, 16 times $2,100 to this campaign?
Exactly. Todd Shapiro, the campaign spokesperson, did not respond to the city's emailed questions about specific suspect donations, why they were submitted for matching claims, and what the campaign does to ensure they only submit eligible claims. Instead, on Wednesday, he issued a general statement promising to work with the CFB to resolve any issues.
Yeah, he said, this is Todd Shapiro, as with any campaign receiving thousands of contributions, there may be a small number of instances requiring clarification or review. In such cases, our campaign works closely and proactively. Bro, no, you don't. You were arrested.
Exactly. Wait, what? What is the definition of closely and proactive? No, you don't.
We work
retroactively.
Yeah, we work retroactively, kind of, to cover our tracks with the CFB to ensure full compliance with all applicable regulations, except that one time we were indicted. Where necessary, I added that. Where necessary, donations have been voluntarily returned in accordance with CFP guidance and our longstanding commitment to transparency and integrity. Yeah, after you got the 8-to-1 match.
Exactly.
Oh, we'll give that back to them. Thanks for the other $32,000. Quote, Mayor Adams' campaign is on track to be fully funded and is well positioned to compete vigorously in the general election. Okay. Now, the indictment filed against Adams last fall charged him with soliciting and accepting thousands of dollars of straw donations. To date, an Adams associate and a local businessman have pled guilty to orchestrating straw donor schemes. And a mayoral aide has said he plans to admit to yet another dubious donation scheme. And none of those folks got their charges dropped, by the way.
So there's more confessions coming out about more of this. This is crazy. The Campaign Finance Board, CFB, meanwhile, continues to investigate whether the illegal donations flagged in the now defunct indictment were limited to the ones referenced by the Manhattan federal prosecutors in December. The CFB said his primary reviews found 1/3 of his 2021 matching funds claims were likely invalid. Invalid mean illegal? Harry would like to substitute the word illegal. Invalid and illegal. Adams won the Democratic primary nomination by just over 7,000 votes in that campaign. The board has persistently refused to release matching funds for Adams's 2025 campaign, citing the campaign's continued refusal to provide the requested documentation, as well as the indictment and the dubious circumstances of its dismissal.
Yeah, and we've covered that. The CFB is like, no, you can't have any matching funds. No.
Now, well, you're going to lose anyway, so.
Right. So let's go back to All-Star for a second. Like, what do they get for setting up these straw donations? They had some interaction with city government during Adams's term, because in 2023, All-Star sought to rezone a former synagogue in Gravesend, Brooklyn, to convert it into a 6-story residence with ground floors and a basement set aside for an elderly daycare center. The City Planning Commission, which is controlled by mayoral appointees, approved the request in May of that year. So that's what they have to gain. Well, right? This is the payback. Yeah. Hey, remember when I got you your building against the law?
You remember that?
Yeah. How about you do this? So I hope the state looks into this. I hope maybe New York Attorney General Tish James, maybe the Manhattan DA, Bragg might look into this. They're stealing from taxpayers in New York.
We need to get more eyes on this.
Yeah, we definitely do. And as we know, federal charges ain't going to cut it anymore because Donald Trump will just drop them. Exactly. All right, we have a lot more to get to, including the Wall Street Journal Rupert Murdoch thing and a couple of other stories in lawsuit news. But we have to take a quick break, so everybody stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, y'all, welcome back. All right, now we have an update in Trump's lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal. And this is from the Times. Lawyers for President Trump said on Monday that Rupert Murdoch, because of his advanced age, should be deposed within 15 days in the president's $10 billion libel lawsuit against him and the Wall Street Journal over the article that came out last week about the connections with Jeffrey Epstein. In a filing in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida, Mr. Trump's lawyer said Mr. Murdoch, the media mogul founder of News Corp, which owns the Journal, should be deposed as soon as possible because he is 94 years old and has suffered, but thankfully overcome. Nice of them to put that in there. He's overcome multiple health issues throughout his life and would be unlikely to be able to appear in person at a trial.
Okay. If I were the lawyers for Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal, I'd say samesies. Donald Trump is 70, whatever. He's got cankles and CVI.
Oh, and yeah, I'm about to say, didn't he just go to the doctor? Yep.
Because he has suffered, but thankfully overcome multiple health issues throughout his life.
Well played, AG. That would be awesome if they did that.
Quote, President Trump is requesting only to conduct Murdoch's deposition and have him produce documents associated only with his involvement in and any discussions related to the decision to publish the article. That's what the filing said. Oh, and why don't we get J.D. Vance on the stand too? He met with Murdoch 2 days before the Wall Street Journal posted this. Now, Mr. Trump sued the Journal, as we know, on July 18th, the day after the newspaper published an article about a lewd birthday note that the publication said Trump wrote to Epstein in 2003, 5 years before the financier pled guilty to soliciting prostitution from a minor. The note was accompanied by a sexually aggressive drawing. Mr. Trump has denied he was responsible for the letter, calling it a fake thing. He also said, I don't write pictures, which has also been disproven because
people have it, right?
He's drawn a lot of little doodles and auctioned them off for money.
The guy is such a liar.
Then when asked about that, he's like, but not women. I draw buildings. I mean, just shut up. Just stop talking.
He even doubled down on his press conference. I think it was on, was it Sunday, Monday, whenever day it was. But anyway, the request from Mr. Trump's lawyers on Monday cited an episode in 2023, when Mr. Murdoch fainted during a breakfast in London with one of his executives, Rebecca Brooks. It also noted an article from Vanity Fair that said Mr. Murdoch had been hospitalized in recent years for COVID-19 and a broken back, seizures, 2 bouts of pneumonia, atrial fibrillation, and a torn Achilles tendon.
Oh, it's his Achilles heel. Right.
That's a lot of stuff.
Wasn't Trump also hospitalized?
Yeah, for COVID. That's right. Isn't there some HIPAA violations going on? I don't know. Unless he was public with them, I guess. The motion always said Mr. Murdoch, as the director and majority owner of News Corp, sits in the unique position of having readily available all documents, communications, and other information related to the article and the decision to publish it.
The lawyers added that Mr. Murdoch has an advantage over Mr. Trump because he's way smarter. No, because he had access to information about the published article, while Mr. Trump says he has very limited information. That's interesting. If you have no information about the letter, then you claim it doesn't exist.
Lord have mercy.
I mean, how do you know? How do you know they don't have an authentic copy of it?
He doesn't.
Or he does, because he's got an authentic copy of it. A representative for Murdoch didn't respond to requests for comment. A spokeswoman for Dow Jones, the publisher of the journal, said, "We have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of our reporting, and we're vigorously defended against any lawsuit." And along with Mr. Murdoch, Trump sued Dow Jones, News Corp, the parent company of Dow Jones, Robert Thompson, the chief executive of News Corp, and the 2 reporters who wrote the article. I'm telling you, Dow Jones, I am telling you, lawyers for Rupert Murdoch, write a thing saying, okay, as long as we can get Mr. Trump's deposition in the next 15 days too.
Yeah, he has a lot going on. And plus, he just announced that he is suffering from a venous insufficiency, which can cause blood clots and can cause you to die. So, I mean, and plus he's old. You know? That's
what I would say. I was like, what? Like Trump is he is 6'2", 230 pounds.
Yeah, the size of an NFL tight end.
Anyway, that's what I think they should do. Yeah, we'll agree to that if Trump does too.
Why not? Let's do it. So, all right. And this is another story we've been following, and I'm watching this one closely because this person, this podcaster or news person, really sticks in my craw. Is that what they say down south, or is that a saying?
Yeah.
All right. But other news from the Post: French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife filed a defamation lawsuit Wednesday against Candace Owens over the far-right commentator's repeated allegations that the First Lady, Brigitte Macron, was born a man. The lawsuit filed in Delaware alleges that Owens ignored the Macrons' attempt to set the record straight in favor of mocking them and retaliated when they requested a retraction.
Yep. In an 8-part podcast Candace Owens created, and in social media posts, Owens promoted, quote, outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions to boost her platform and make money, according to the lawsuit. Among the claims are that Brigitte Macron stole another person's identity and that she and the president were blood relatives engaged in incest and that they were committing forgery, fraud, and abuses of power. Owens' spokesperson, Mitchell Jackson, said she is not shutting up and called the lawsuit a foreign government attacking the First Amendment rights of an American independent journalist.
Well, you could say what you want. You just got to be able to, you got to be prepared for the backlash like this. Owens went on to double down on the claims in a video Wednesday saying that she had been sued by the First Lady man of France. That's what her quote was. And that the lawsuit was an obvious and desperate public relations strategy that she first learned of in the press. She also said the filing contained inaccuracies and that she and her representatives asked to interview Brigitte Macron before the podcast episodes aired. The French embassy could not be reached for comment.
Now, Tom Clare, who's an attorney representing the Macrons, called the suit a clear-cut case of defamation. The Macrons said in a statement that they concluded that referring the matter to the court of law was the only remaining avenue for remedy after 3 retraction requests were disregarded. And Harry, that's why you do those kinds of things. That's why you send the letters. We see a lot of letters saying, hey,
cease and desist kind of thing. Yeah.
And then if you don't, then send another. If you don't, send another, because that has a lot of weight in a court. Like, we asked multiple times. We did our due diligence to get this retracted. Now, Owens worked for the Daily Wire and Turning Point USA, TPUSA, before starting her own podcast. She has this kills me, 4.4 million subscribers on YouTube. What the fuck?
And I feel like that's
what the heck? What the heck?
Yeah. And I feel like this would embolden her, because even if she loses, she'll pay some money that her followers are happily shelling out each month. So it's ridiculous. Owens' remarks have ignited controversy before. Australia last year rejected her visa request, saying her history of downplaying the Holocaust, among other views, could incite discord. And this is according to Australian local media. The Macron's attorney in the case, from Clare, Locke and Farnham LLP, helped represent Dominion voting systems in a defamation lawsuit against Fox News that the network paid, the infamous amount of $790 million to settle. And that was in 2023.
Okay, so they're the ones representing the Macrons. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, a French appeals court this month overturned convictions against 2 women who made similar allegations about Brigitte Macron's gender, saying they had been made in good faith, according to the lawsuit filing in European media. So that's in the French courts. And proving defamation in the U.S., it's a higher bar, especially against public officials, requiring that the publisher acted with malice, such as reckless disregard for the truth. You have to be able to prove that Candace Owens knows that all of these things are lies. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but it's an uphill climb, this lawsuit. I'm not sure that they'll necessarily win. But
well, sure it is. But you made a good point, AG. That's why the 3 letters were sent in advance, like, hey, we tried to do this. Hey, we tried multiple times. And also, the lawsuit that the Macrons are filing, I think this is why they're filing it, because the like you said, the appeals court overturned the convictions of 2 women who made those statements. And where do they get those information from? From people like Candace Owens, who knowingly push and peddle known lies and inflammatory, controversial statements. So, well, I'm definitely curious to see how this plays out.
Right. And winning isn't necessarily always the goal. I mean, it's great if he could bankrupt Candace Owens, but it will have to come out that either she knowingly lied, or through discovery, she'll have to admit she was wrong.
Well, that's the thing. Candace Owens, when she talks, it's not like she's giving her opinion. She says everything with such conviction and matter of fact. Like, no, this isn't my opinion. This is how it is, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm very curious to see, unless she got her birth certificate or whatever, I don't know. But I am definitely following this one pretty close because, one, because I just don't like her. And, 2, defamation is nothing to play around with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely not. So we will keep an eye on this lawsuit here on Clean Up on Aisle 45. All right, we've got a couple of more stories to get to. We're going to talk about ex-police officer Brett Hankison. Remember, DOJ wanted him to serve 1 day in jail in the Briana Taylor case. So we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about something that it came up in the Courier. The South Carolina Supreme Court has released an order retroactively suspending a January 6ers law license. So we're going to talk about those 2 stories. And then we've got some Mike Lindell Pillowman updates and some Fugate updates. Remember the 22-year-old that was put in charge of counterterrorism?
Fugate.
Or counterespionage, or something very important that he shouldn't be doing because he was just a gardener. But anyway, we're going to talk about that, but we have to take a quick break. So stick around. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. And on my last comment there, no shade to gardeners, but you shouldn't be in charge of counterterrorism. That's as a podcaster.
I agree.
I am not qualified for that job either, and I'm way past 22, so it's not an age thing. It's not a gardener thing. It's what you're qualified for.
Exactly.
I want to be a gardener, so but again, doesn't qualify me.
My plants always die, so maybe I'm not qualified to be a gardener. So.
You're not even qualified to be a gardener.
I'm like, damn, my cucumbers cannot grow. Like, what are we doing here?
got you up on one on that
Absolutely.
one. Absolutely. All right, everybody. We have some news this week in the case of ex-police officer Brett Hankison. He was convicted of violating the civil rights of Briana Taylor. This is from MSNBC, and I chose this particular view because it was, I think, the best written. Despite the best efforts of the Justice Department, former Louisville, Kentucky police detective Brett Hankison will be going to prison. For all the open displays of hostility the second Trump administration has exhibited toward the Black community thus far, and there have been many, the Justice Department's sentencing recommendation for one of the men involved in the fatal raid on Briana Taylor's apartment felt like a particularly brazen show of contempt.
Yeah, 1 day is what they proposed. Hankison was one of the officers involved in the raid that killed 26-year-old Taylor March 13, 2020, when several other officers executed the no-knock search warrant tied to an ex-boyfriend of Taylor's who did not live at her home. Hankison, who fired several shots in the raid, did not fire the shot that killed Taylor, though he was found guilty by a federal jury last November of violating Taylor's civil rights. And frustratingly, while there remains an investigation into the warrant that authorized the raid, Hankison is the only officer who fired into Taylor's apartment to be charged and convicted of any crime. Federal prosecutors declined to prosecute the officer who did fire the fatal shot, Miles Cosgrove, stating that he was justified in his actions. And that's confusing. Like, how do you want the guy who shot multiple shots that didn't hit anybody gets charged, but the person who shot and actually killed her is not charged?
Yeah, especially when the warrant that authorized the raid is under investigation because officers lied to get that signed by a judge.
Sure did.
Now, Briana Taylor's killing will never yield complete justice. Yet, if it is left to the Trump administration, Briana, her grieving family, and all those who understand their plight would receive no justice at all. In a sentencing memorandum Wednesday, Justice Department officials recommended Hankison be given a downward variance or lower sentence rather than the range recommended by the federal sentencing guidelines. Whereas the U.S. Probation Office recommended 11 to 14 years, the Justice Department request called for Hankison to receive 1 day with 3 years of probation and a $100 fine. $100.
Unbelievable.
That sentence, had the judge agreed, would have been the equivalent of time served. He would have walked free.
And I believe that there would have been a lot of protesting and civil disobedience and unrest had that happened. The memorandum was signed by two Trump appointees, Robert J. Keenum, senior counsel for the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, and Harmeet Dillon, the department's assistant attorney general. Keenum and Dillon did not seem concerned with the justice for Taylor's wrongful death, nor did they seem concerned with her civil rights, focusing instead on Hankison's well-being. And per the memo, in light of the 3 trials of Hankison and the media attention given to each trial, it's no surprise that he has suffered from resulting stress and psychological problems, including post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, sleeping difficulties, and related conditions. Sounds like
Briana
a lot of...
Taylor suffered from murder.
Exactly. I was just about to say, like, Jesus, Briana Taylor is no longer here. What about her family? And a lot of those symptoms that they listed, it's a lot of the shit that I deal with from January 6th that they, say, oh, let the bad guys go. Forget about the officers. So.
Right. Who continue to commit crimes now that they've been pardoned. Rightfully, lawyers of Taylor's family referred to this as an insult, the 1-day sentencing recommendation, and added that Brianna's mother, Tamika Palmer, had been left once again heartbroken and angry. What about her re-traumatization is what I'm saying. And what about her stress
PTSD.
and anxiety and sleeping difficulties and PTSD? Quote, it is unfathomable. After finally securing a conviction, the Department of Justice would seek a sentence so drastically below the federal guidelines. That's Ben Crump. We all know Ben Crump. Yeah. Lenita Baker and Sam Angiar said in a statement condemning the Justice Department's recommendation. And they said this sets a dangerous precedent. When a police officer is found guilty of violating someone's constitutional rights, there must be real accountability and justice. Recommending just 1 day in prison sends the unmistakable message that white officers can violate the civil rights of Black Americans with near total impunity.
1 day. Unbelievable. All right, statistics bear this out. As Crump argued in a separate op-ed for USA Today, a recent study showed Black women and girls are already 40% more likely to be killed by police than white women, even though they are just 15% of the female U.S. population, according to a 2024 study. More than half of these deaths were callously classified as collateral damage, meaning the women were not even the intended targets of the police action that took their lives, Crump continued.
Also, Harry data scientist and political analyst Samuel Sinyangwe, the founder of Mapping Police Violence, which is a database of police killings in the U.S., highlighted research that suggests police already get more lenient sentences than civilians convicted of the same crimes. We know this. Infuriatingly, although U.S. District Judge Rebecca Grady Jennings noted the Justice Department's recommendation was inappropriate, she also went with a lower number than what was listed in the probation office in their pre-sentencing report. Remember, they want 11 to 14 years.
Yeah, and got over 3 or something like that. It is shameful that Brett Hankinson will spend less than 3 years in prison for blindly spraying bullets through an apartment in the middle of the night. It is shameful that the Trump administration, and specifically the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, tried to brazenly subvert justice in the case of an incredibly unjust death. And they'll likely do this again. And it is shameful that throughout this case, the justice system has consistently seemed to be on their side. Yet no matter what the president or the assistant attorney general says, Briana Taylor's life mattered, and we will continue to speak her name.
Yeah, and I think the family was like, that's way under the guidelines, but we'll take it. It's better than 1 day.
Yeah.
But the poor,
isn't it crazy?
Poor Mr. Hankinson and his stress.
From the public outrage.
My God.
We're not going to be saying your name, Mr. Hankinson.
No, bye. I wish he was going to prison for 11 to 14 years.
Yeah.
All right, we have some relatively good news this week. This is from the Post and Courier. The South Carolina Supreme Court released an order July 23rd, retroactively suspending the law license of a lawyer who pled guilty and was pardoned for his part in the January 6th assault on the Capitol. Lawyer David Charles Johnston, you can probably take the lawyer off there now, and his neighbor Chadwick Clifton were charged in May 2022 for participating in the breach of the Capitol. The Post and Courier previously reported that, and the pair were among more than 1,500 people charged nationally, including over 30 from South Carolina.
Yeah, Johnston said in a statement to the state after his arrest that he intended to plead not guilty on federal charges and that his then employer, George Sink, personal injury lawyers, had fired him. Both he and Clifton ultimately pled guilty to one misdemeanor count of parading, marching, or picketing in the Capitol building, with additional charges being dismissed as part of their plea deals. Johnston was sentenced in December 2022 to 3 years of probation, as well as 21 days of intermittent confinement, a $2,500 fine, and $500 in restitution. He was pardoned in January as a part of Donald Trump's mass pardon of the people convicted, and their crimes related to January 6th.
Now, the South Carolina Supreme Court's opinion noted that Johnston admitted to misconduct and violating professional conduct rules through his actions on January 6th and the misdemeanor charge that stemmed from it. The court issued a 6-month suspension of Johnston's license that retroactively took effect on May 24th, 2022. That's the day he was first placed on interim suspension, and he was also ordered to pay the investigation and prosecution costs for the disciplinary case in the lawyer stuff. Both Johnston and the Office of Disciplinary Counsel agreed to the suspension terms. Johnston praised the court's decision in a comment to the Post and Courier. Our Supreme Court is an excellent court. They fairly apply the law and the facts, so a 6-month retroactive going back to 2022 means he does actually have his law license back now.
Yeah, because it's retroactive, but at least they acknowledge, maybe set the precedent that, pardon does not cover it. Exactly.
Right. And also, even if it's a misdemeanor, January 6th, you shouldn't be a lawyer, bro. At least, I think he should have his license permanently revoked. But much like Briana Taylor's case, instead of 11 to 14 years, getting 33 months, it's better than a day.
Mm-hmm.
A retroactively 6-month law license suspension that's over now is, I don't think, justice, but like you said, kind of better than nothing.
Yeah. I guess the main thing, it just sets a little bit of precedent for anybody else try to come forward and want something removed, expunged, no punishment. Regardless, it slap on the wrist, but it slap them a little harder next time, I guess.
Yeah,
metaphorically speaking.
Right. Yeah, we have to say that every time now.
Yeah.
Just metaphorically.
Yeah.
Punch Nazis in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we just have a couple more stories to get to, including an update on the Pillow Man and something going on with Fugate, 22-year-old. I think it's Thomas is his first name. Good old Tom Fugate. And we'll talk about that right after this last break. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. Just a couple more stories. First, some Mike Lindell news from the Times. A federal appeals court has ruled that Lindell, the MyPillow guy, does not have to pay the $5 million to the software developer who entered a contest held by Lindell, inviting skeptics to disprove his claims of interference in the 2020 election. An arbitration panel had previously ordered Lindell to pay the $5 million to Robert Zeidman, a software developer who entered Lindell's Prove Me Wrong contest, which offered a $5 million award to anyone who could debunk what Lindell called evidence of Chinese interference in the 2020 election.
Yeah, the appeals court found that because Mr. Lindell's rules for the challenge were written broadly, the evidence Mr. Zeidman presented debunking Mr. Lindell's claim was not unequivocal. From our four corners of the challenge contract as defined by the official rules, there's no way to read information related to the November 2020 election as meaning only information that is packet captured data, the ruling said, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But that's a bummer. But this could be appealed.
Yeah. And he doesn't have any money anyway. He's broke.
He doesn't have any money anyway.
He's already broke,
I don't know. I think he's hiding it somewhere.
He must be.
All right. Like Rudy,
Yeah.
I don't know where my jersey is and my signed Joe DiMaggio baseball card collection or whatever.
Right.
All right. Our final story comes from the Daily Beast. When Kristi Noem put 22-year-old Thomas Fugate in charge of a unit fighting domestic terror in June, her department rushed to praise MAGA loyalists for his leadership. But within days, the Daily Beast revealed that the new official overseeing the Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships, CP3, had no experience in fighting terrorism and, in fact, had only ever worked as a gardener and a grocery store clerk. Now, Fugate has been publicly downgraded by his own department and made to give a humiliating interview, insisting he is only a low-level member of the staff.
Yeah. On June the 5th, a senior official from the Department of Homeland Security told the media that Fugate, a Donald Trump superfan who interned at the Heritage Foundation, had been temporarily given additional leadership responsibilities at the Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships, CP3, describing the promotion as a credit to his work ethic and success on the job. Give me a break.
The following day, the Daily Beast revealed that the staffer, who graduated from college only 12 months earlier, had been working as a neighborhood gardener 5 years before and a grocery store assistant as recently as August 2023, causing the department pretty big embarrassment. DHS had been scrambling to downplay his role ever since, with Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin, who's just garbage, saying on June 20th that Fugate was actually one of several staffers assisting our senior official performing the duties of the undersecretary with reforming CP3. What? So he was what? He was assisting a senior person who I'm not going to tell you who it is
in
performing the duties of the undersecretary. So was he who?
The acting undersecretary, whatever.
Yep.
Then, after the Daily Beast reported on July 10th that Fugate's law enforcement experience extended to being investigated by cops less than 4 years ago in connection with a teenage love triangle gone wrong. Ooh. The DHS finally appeared to have faced enough humiliation. McLaughlin told Fox Digital Monday that Fugate was never in a position of leadership within the program. Fox News said she even referred to him as a low-level staffer. Not only that, the department apparently forced Fugate to go public to downplay his own job.
I love this. In an eyebrow-raising interview with Fox News Digital, and I think they threw eyebrow-raising in there because, the picture of him has his one eyebrow up. In an eyebrow-raising interview with Fox News Digital, Fugate stressed that he never called the shots. All decisions came down from policy leadership, the undersecretary, deputy secretary, chief of staff. That's what he said, adding that CP3 is a very niche, a very small, specialized office that mostly hands out grants. It's only when you take it out of context and blow it out of proportion that it then becomes a massive problem where people think I'm practically running the FBI, he said. The day he had to go on Fox News and say, I am
nobody.
Nothing. I'm no one. I'm Coffee Boy. I'm lower than Papadopoulos. Just ignore me. The Daily Beast has contacted the Department of Homeland Security for further comment, but they haven't gotten back. So
don't hold your breath.
You know how terrible and inexperienced you have to be to embarrass this administration.
I know. No, nothing is off limits with these people about how embarrassing. They just don't care. It's just whatever. But this definitely made. Oh man, that's funny.
And as we sit here recording this on Tuesday, July 29th, Donald Trump still won't shut up about Jeffrey Epstein. He keeps talking about it, and then he yells at everybody to stop talking about it, which is interesting.
Unbelievable.
And this particular interaction that happened on a phone call on Air Force One, Harry, is about the fact that, his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein, which back in the day was over a real estate deal, but now he's trying to tell everyone that he stopped hanging out with Epstein because he was a creep.
He was a creep, exactly.
But so they're asking him, but then you said yesterday your falling out was over Epstein taking some of the workers from your business, but your administration said you threw him out because he was a creep. Which is it? And he said, you're talking about many years ago, but he took people. And because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. They work for me, and he took them. Beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. Like he just, it's
kind of funny, but he can't keep his story straight. And if you noticed, I was watching this every time he talks about Jeffrey Epstein when the cameras are present. And I think Carolyn Levitt, the press secretary, is there. Watch her body language and watch how she's like staring, like looking quickly when he says something, and like what next time, or go pull up some interviews when, like, I think it was when he was outside the White House getting ready to get on a helicopter coming in, and just watch how she looked like very like nervous as what he was saying. Go watch that. You'll notice it. But look at her body language and how nervous she looked.
Right, because behind her eyes, she's like, "Fuck, I got to defend that in the press room." Oh, you just created awfulness for me. It's like, hey, you know what? You signed up for this job.
You signed it, and I don't feel bad for you at all.
Caroline Levitt. So suck on that. But
basically,
it's not going, the story's not going away. As much as he wants it to. He's trying to make it go away by sending Todd Blanche to get a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell to testify to Congress that Trump didn't do anything wrong or whatever. But he can control that, right? He can control the DOJ. He can control, these other situations. He can control Congress. But what he can't
who can't control
is Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal, who probably don't want him to be president anymore because he's served out. He's no longer useful to them. Yep. He signed the big tax break for billionaires. He signed the crypto thing. And now they don't need him anymore.
Useful idiot.
And Murdoch and Thiel are super close. Thiel met with Epstein a bunch of times back in the day. And all of these broligarchs in Silicon Valley are, groomed and made J.D. Vance what he is, kind of like how what Manafort did to Yanukovych. And so here we are with Murdoch rather having J.D. Vance be president. And so, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because he can't control that. He can't control this birthday book that the Epstein estate has, that Ro Khanna has now asked for. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, a subcommittee, have asked, because they can't issue a subpoena without Comer.
Sure.
without Republicans. So now they're just saying, hey, will you just give it to us? And
not
we'll
even
see.
subpoena it. Just, hey, can I see it?
Right. And so we'll see. Maybe the lawyers at Epstein's estate might say, we're going to need a subpoena for that. It's called a friendly subpoena. Like, hey, do us a solid and give us a subpoena and we'll hand it over to cover our asses.
Yeah.
And if they ask for a subpoena, it'll be really interesting to see whether Republicans in Congress, who were totally willing to vote for DOJ's version of the
not
Epstein
this one,
files, we'll see if they're willing to get this untouched by Trump, unscrubbed little bit of evidence from the Epstein estate. So everybody's keeping their eye on this story.
It's not going away.
And rightfully so. And I thought it was pretty cool. Senators Whitehouse and Durbin had written a letter to the DOJ asking for that shared Excel spreadsheet where everybody had to log mentions of Donald Trump in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And that was first publicly reported by me. So I'm actually kind of
of course it was.
All right. Nice, man. I'm glad that they're asking for that. And, now they have some whistleblowers at Dick Durbin's office who might have also confirmed that particular piece of information, but it didn't become public knowledge until my sources came forward from the FBI, from people at the FBI and DOJ who had reviewed those files and were instructed to mark mentions of Donald Trump's name in an Excel spreadsheet. So yeah, this isn't going away, AG. And like I said, with this August recess, hopefully it continues to pick up more and more steam, as Donald Trump consistently tries to distract. I am, thankful that the media is continuing to bring it up. I don't have much faith in them, but it seems like they're doing a good job at this. But also, everybody talks about Donald Trump, but, Maxwell and Epstein. What about the people they were trafficking those young people to? The people that engaged in the activity with these trafficked young women? They need to be exposed too. So, yeah, it's obviously Donald Trump because he's the president, but every single person who abused a minor, not just the person who trafficked them and provided them, but anybody who acted with them, needs to be held accountable, shamed, put in jail, all that good stuff. So because
let's
they
not forget about them too.
They totally steamrolled the survivors, and by this non-prosecution agreement signed by Alex Acosta, written by Alan Dershowitz back in the day, that said that those people that trafficked in raping these girls can't ever be prosecuted. Now, a court has called that an illegal non-prosecution agreement. So
get it to the Supreme Court. Oh, not this Supreme Court. Well, I don't know. I don't know where the Supreme Court stands about this. I mean, I'm sure they'll love to be on the record saying where they stand about child rape.
It depends on where the money's coming from.
Exactly.
If Murdoch and his folks in Silicon Valley have more money to buy Clarence Thomas a new RV.
Where's Harlan Crow?
Yeah. Where does he stand on the issue? We know
he
where
might
Elon,
be on no, I'm not even going to lop that out. Well, but you can see where I was going with that.
Yeah, I know where you're going with. These are all just oligarchs trying to protect oligarchs.
Yeah,
so
that's what they do.
We will keep an eye on it. But yeah, Mike Johnson totally sent Congress home early in hopes to buy time for this to die down. But I think what he bought time was for it to get blown up even more.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But the media is covering it. And I think that's because MAGA wants them to.
Yeah.
So, we'll be keeping an eye on it,
that's it.
For reals. And thank you all so much for, especially members of the FBI, Department of Justice, IMD, who reached out to me so we could get that reporting out there so that we know about the existence of the spreadsheet on the SharePoint. We know about the existence of the training files. I appreciate all of you. And if you have any more information, my signal is in my Blue Sky bio.
That's it.
So thanks to you all for listening. Thanks to our patrons for being awesome and supporting that kind of work, and supporting you, Harry, running around all over the country making inspirational speeches. We really appreciate it. We couldn't do this work for democracy without you. We couldn't do this independent media stuff without you.
I know you doing these empty chair town halls kind of just gave me an idea, and I don't mind sharing it here. I just literally had the idea. Maryland has 8 congressional districts, and only one of them, the first, is a red district represented by insurrectionist Andy Harris. And I'm thinking I would love to do a town hall in his district.
You should. And you should talk to Wes Moore, your pal, about gerrymandering his ass out of existence in the first place.
That's right.
Let's have just all Democratic seats.
Let's do it. I might call my friend Jamie Rask and see if we could go do it together. That would be awesome.
if you're gonna gut the Voting Rights Act, fine. We'll draw our shit based on what we think is right too, if it can't be challenged in court anymore.
Yep. So that gave me a good idea. Thank you for doing that. That just gave me an idea to go do that. So
yeah, let us know how that goes. I know
I'm gonna get my wheels. I'm about to say I'm gonna get my wheels turning, and let's see what we can figure out. So
rad. That's what we're looking for. That's the kind of do something Michelle Obama was talking about.
Do something. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We will be back in your ears next week for the public episode. If you're a patron, you'll get the bonus this weekend. I'm sure you're traveling around, but we'll catch you at an airport or something, Harry.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Thanks, everybody, so much. I'm Allison Gill.
Harry Dunn. Thanks, y'all.
Cleanup on Aisle 45 is written, researched, and produced by Allison Gill, with editing by Molly Hockey. Our art and logo design are by Joelle Reeder and Moxie Design Studios, and our music is composed and performed by Adam Orr. Cleanup on Aisle 45 is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, visit mswmedia.com. MSW Media.